2 years ago, we decided to look at Oklahoma through a different lens and trying to understand why are we not as competitive as we could be? Why is our GDP growth not at the rate that our surrounding states are? It isn't that we haven't had GDP growth. It's just it hasn't been nearly as good as our regional states. And so when you start to dig into the data on that, for us it became really clear and really obvious. And there's 4 areas that we were really focused on. What is Oklahoma's economic climate? What is Oklahoma's infrastructure? What does Oklahoma's education and workforce environment look like? And then how do we rank in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship? The good news is Oklahoma's economic climate is maybe the best it's ever been in Oklahoma. 20th in business friendliest, number 1 according to CNBC in terms of the cost of doing business, 19th and moving up from 39th 4 years ago in tax competitiveness to 19th. So from an economic climate standpoint, we're doing great. Box checked. Infrastructure. Oklahoma's doing fantastic in infrastructure. Physical infrastructure ranked 14th, cost of power 4th, broadband access 27th and climbing. So we have all the infrastructure things in place to be a really successful climate. So check. What happens when you get to education and workforce? That's where it becomes a struggle. And that's where our board really focused in on. 47th in 3rd grade reading, 49th in 8th grade math, 47th in health outcomes, 27th in labor force participation rates. You don't get to have a kind of economy that the governor is pushing us for if those are your statistics. So you can do all the other things right, but if you don't focus on those, you're never going to achieve the success you want. And then when it comes to innovation and entrepreneurship, ranked 42nd in innovation, 50th in global investment, and 32nd in business formation. These are all measures of how innovative and entrepreneurship is taking hold in your economy. So our board said, you know what? We've done a great job on economic climate. We've done a great job on infrastructure. But if we don't lean in on these other 2 categories, education and workforce, and innovation and entrepreneurship, none of our goals will be achievable. And so what did we do this session? We made 3rd grade reading and literacy our top priority. The state's leading business organization made literacy its top priority. And why did we do that? Everything else is foundational to that. If you can't read by the end of 3rd grade, you can't read to learn from 3rd grade on, right? Nothing else matters. We can have the best career tech and higher ed system in the country, but if our students can't access it because they don't have the basic literacy skills, nothing else matters. What did the legislature and the governor do this year? They responded. We passed the most significant, the toughest, the best literacy bill in the nation this year, and Governor Stitt signed it into law 2 weeks ago. How about a round of applause for them on that? So the reality is we've made the move. We put the policy in place, right? The work isn't done. This is a 10-year effort. Everyone wants to talk about Mississippi, and we're actually bringing in Governor Tate Reeves, who's a colleague of the governor's, to talk about once Mississippi passed that law, it wasn't just magic that it happened. It was a 10-year effort to get it to where it needs to go. And so now we got to move on to the implementation phase. But what is so really exciting is for us, in terms of the innovation and entrepreneurship platform, Project 200 might as well have been written in our boardroom talking about the things that matter to move the needle. States that win make the investments that Project 200 does. If you are going to be an innovative economy, if you're going to have the kind of economy that Governor Stitt wants us to be top 10, we have to improve our innovation rankings. We have to improve our research and development rankings. We can't be last in patent intensity. We have to be in the upper top 10 to get where we want to go. That's what Project 200 does. So I cannot be more excited to stand here today and say, thank you, Governor. Thank you, President Harris, for putting together the bold plan. This is the plan that is going to move Oklahoma's economy forward. When we combine literacy and innovation, we will have an economy like no one else in this country. And we're going to do it right here in Oklahoma. But I want to leave you with couple of quotes from a great Oklahoma philosopher. His name is Joseph Harris Jr., and he said, you have to be honest before you can be bold. So you need to be able to look at statistics like that. We need to have KPIs, and we need to track progress. And then we need to be honest with ourselves. When we're not making the progress on this, we need to make course corrections and adjustments, right? And then the last Oklahoma philosopher, and he's a relatively new one, his name is Roger Denny. He's the University of Oklahoma athletic director. And Roger said, and it was great, he was speaking about his decision on whether to retain Coach Porter Mosier and the basketball team. And he said, we've decided that Coach Mosier's the guy, but our resources have to match our expectations. Our resources have to match our expectations. So Project 200 won't work. We can have all the expectations in the world, but if we don't devote the resources for it, we will never achieve these goals. And where's Holly Hunt? Where's my friend Holly Hunt? Holly Hunt right here. You all have, the University of Oklahoma as one of the best lobbyists in the country. In the state for sure, but probably one in the country, right? She can't do the job alone of getting the resources to match our expectations. And that's where all of you come in. Every one of you lives in Oklahoma, and every one of you has a legislator who you know. And your job is to go out and to talk about these data points, to talk about this plan with your legislature, and demand that they put the resources behind this to get this effort to go. So that is my charge to you. Holly, we got a whole new lobbying crew for you here, because we have to use our voice to talk about how these and this plan is what's going to take Oklahoma to the next level. So on behalf of the Oklahoma business community, on behalf of the citizens of Oklahoma who will benefit tremendously from this, thank you, President Harris, for this announcement, and thank you all. And remember, your job is just starting today. Don't leave here and not go to work with us to get the funding and have the commitment to see this plan through. Thank you very much.